Now we're here. Hello, Mindfulness Project family. It is live stream time and it is before Christmas. I don't know if anybody has actually time to join us, but it is a Sunday, so the shop should be closed. You should sit at home with a candle, a pot of tea, smoking, and enjoying time. Anya is also here. We are supposed to talk about sex today. But Nick just wrote me that he actually doesn't have time to join our live stream today. So we maybe postpone that. Depends on what's going on. Wait. Here is a message. We'll see. What's going on? This is not. So here we are back. So it is Patreon family time. So I'm really curious. So if you have any kind of questions, anything you want to ask, this is your time. Like we did before, we give you a little update about what is going on here right now in the project, because there's so much stuff, which is really, really exciting. So first thing, my passion, natural building. Finally, the whole Pooh Castle, we call it Pooh Castle now because it's such an amazing building. So this is coming along. We have done all the walls, we have done all the plastering. So the rest is now only to make the roof on top of it and to make it waterproof. And then the mosaic stuff will go on. And there are probably a lot of people. What are you doing here?
Nothing.
Good. That is wonderful. So we have a lot of creative people out there. We have a lot of people who just, are so good artists. And one of the things which will start in January is that we just blow out some kind of like brainstorming, and we would like to have designs from you. We would like to get to know, what ideas you have for mosaic design. So this is going to be super exciting. And on top of that, we are, the garden is just working and starts to work more and more. It's really incredible to get all the cucumbers and kales and, all that kind of stuff out of the garden. You're not tired, are you?
Yes, I am.
Good. And so that is really, really fascinating. And one of the great news is we've finally, through the work of Taylor and Poho, we managed to find people who have an organic farming network, and they're delivering their food to us. So now, everything in the Mindfulness Project, or let's say 90%, is actually organic, and that's a big step for us. And it's really nice in this area of Thailand, because then we can just also help so much these organic farmers, and that is really, really great. Other great news is we are right now in the process to get the Thai charity going, because this is vital for us, because in the long run we need visas which are not short-term visas, but then we can have actual volunteer visas for us, and that will just give us a completely new being here in Thailand. And the second thing is then we're actually allowed to buy land and save it for the coming generations. So that is amazing. So it's really, really nice because when this is happening, so the legal papers are there, and we have a very exquisite group of Thai people who are joining us and becoming part of the board. And our head teacher, Ajahn Somchai, will be part of the charity. The professor for public health who gave us for free the land where the team is on, he will be part of it. Jerry's wife, and Jerry will be part of it. And Super One, our health minister of the project, will be part of it. So it's really, really great that we have so many incredible supporters for the charity, and we're very curious what will happen. So now we'll make the founding meeting, and when this is done, we'll apply, and to get the approval, it will take between 1 month and 2 years. So we hope that it's going to lean towards the 1 month, and that this is done, and then we can just start all over in a much different way. The other thing is we're doing a big fundraising drive right now, and this is really amazing to see how many of you are helping us, not only with helping us with the Patreon, but also just chucking in some money, and that's so highly appreciated because we're really running low right now. We have no idea how we can feed all the 8 dogs, because we became kind of like an orphanage or a dog shelter now, and that was quite hard for us, and also we don't even know how to pay the rent for next year and stuff like that. So thank you all for supporting us so much. This means a hell of a lot for us. So, and did I forget something important? No? Okay, so that is wonderful. I see so far nobody joined us, so I think everybody is Christmas. In Germany we have all these Christmas markets, and that has a very long tradition. For years and years and hundreds of years. This was going on before Christmas, where people are selling, handcrafts and arts and stuff like that. And it's still going on, but more and more, I just heard it becomes like a consuming festival where people drink a lot of Glühwein, we say, hot wine with a lot of sugar, and people get very drunk from that. And it's just more and more consuming. And it's not about crafts and arts anymore, so that's really sad. But everything is impermanent, everything is changing, and it's a little difficult. Okay, I also hope making the Advent calendar for you guys is it was amazing. It was a lot of work. Sometimes we worked until 3 o'clock in the morning to get the videos cut, and there's always kind of technical problems and all that kind of stuff, because we also don't have enough computers and all that. And I think I grew some more gray hairs or something like that, but it was also a lot of fun because and I announced that now, so but we'll also talk about that in the beginning of January. We want to kind of do the whole Patreon thing completely new, because the last year when we started it, our idea was that we just post everything what we teach here in the Mindfulness Project. So if you have been in the project and you have missed some of the teachings, or you want to continue to listen to that stuff, and then we post it to you. But most of the stuff what we teach here is now on Patreon. So next year we will produce, videos only for you. And the idea is that at your home, where you are, we bring you into the practice. That we are just doing challenges together with you. That we're going together into a practice worldwide, that we're all practicing together the same things, and then we are just teaching you guys new stuff. It's going to be incredible, so don't miss that. So we have now, it's Christmas, we still have 11 volunteers in the project, and we'll have a riot of a Christmas party. The next day we'll only celebrate 25th, and like in Germany, the 24th is the main day. For a lot of other people, the 25th is the main day. So 25th is just team coming together, and we're probably sit in a swimming pool and eat a lot of good food and, get massages and stuff like this. We just came from the massage. Oh, more people are coming. Hello. It's Adrian. I don't think he will join us, but maybe Carrie does. Hello, Carrie. Say hello to our mindfulness family. Come on.
Hello, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So you see here, 0 people are joining, so they're all buying Christmas presents.
Everyone's busy, yeah.
Yeah, I think the German people are getting drunk right now. Because it's Sunday, so Sunday evening before you have to go on Monday to work will be, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Aussies too. Sunday sesh.
Yeah. Do you saved us some food?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So after this, I will have a late dinner. So after the 25th, we have a couple of days of free time, and then on the 28th, our yearly Vipassana meditation retreat is happening, and I'll see some of you guys there. So we're looking forward a lot to that. And also a lot of friends are coming from Germany, and then afterwards we have 2 weeks holiday. Nearly, right? Little less. Ooh, and it's my birthday. So I'm going to celebrate my birthday with some of these meditation geeks. That's going to be really, really nice. So big party, and then we have holiday. We go to one of these nice little islands here in Thailand, and then on the 26th or something like that, then we start the project again. And this is the moment when you will hear from us again on Patreon. So we'll post new stuff, and it's going to be super, super exciting. So this is what's happening. And then like I hope that we get a lot of input from you guys, what you want, what you need, what you're working on, what is in your life very important. So let's see, we have somebody who's joining us. So we need questions from you guys. So the live stream is for asking questions, and just give it to us. Hello, look who's coming here. Look, there's hello. All of the other people out there. This is Ginger. A lot of you don't know our cats who are living in our home. So right now we have 8 dogs, and how many cats do we have? 3, 4? With Ash, we have 4. Yeah, 4 cats. Yeah, 4 cats, and this is the most naughty one. Yeah. So that was a quick update of what's going on with you, and like I said, we had a question from Nick before, talking about sex and what's going on in the sexual life, but he cannot attend, so he asked us to postpone. So we don't have a subject right now to talk about. So give us input. Tell us what you are struggling with. If it's Christmas stress and how to reduce it. If it's whatever it is, just tell us what you would like us to talk about. Otherwise, do you have something?
No, we could meditate.
We could meditate. Yeah, practice is much better than any kind of wisdom or anything. I don't know. I don't think they just came from that to us. Okay.
It could be a nice idea to have also together meditation sessions at the same time.
Yeah, that would be great. This is coming up. This is definitely coming up next year. That's a very good idea. Okay, so then I will tell you a little bit about what Anya and I are working on. And one of the things what we are dealing with right now is that there are actually 2 things which interest me a lot right now. One subject is called spiritual bypassing. You ever heard about that? Ooh. Do you want to talk about spiritual bypassing?
No.
No, okay. So it's a very very common kind of thing, and it became a very big movement because you probably have heard that there are a lot of big yoga schools where the main leader, the Swami, is actually abusing their students, and that there is a lot of terrible stuff going on. And and you ask yourself, how can it happen that these people are, just being on a spiritual path for so long, be such revered teachers, and then they do stupid stuff like that. And so there is a lot of people, also psychologists, who are just, thinking about it and bringing that to light. And it's really, really incredible to see, because you can use the spiritual teachings for awakening. And the Buddha himself said, when it comes to the teachings, when it comes to the Buddha's teachings, it is like catching a snake. Wait a second, there are things going on. That's a good question. Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay, cool. So the spiritual bypassing, the Buddha said, just being on the path is like catching a snake. If you catch it in the middle, it will bite you. If you catch it in the end, it will bite you and it will hurt. If you just really approach it, you have to approach it right, and you have to catch it at the head. And that is one of the most difficult things to do, actually, to realize when you are kind of on the wrong path with your spiritual practice, and when you are using it to actually suppress your feelings, where you use it actually to cover it up. And I don't know about you, but it happened quite a lot to me. So the question is, how can you actually not use the meditation to cover up your feelings? And how can you use it to actually go to the places where you don't usually want to go? How can you just look at the things which are really, really difficult, and the things we really don't want to see? And that is super, super powerful, because also in the realm of psychology with Sigurd Jung, there's a lot of talk about our shadow, our shady sides. And that Sigurd Jung said the development starts happening when you are actually looking at the stuff which is uncomfortable, what we just usually don't want to look at. And so how do we do that? A lot of times it is good. And the Buddha was talking about that quite a lot, that he said a lot of our spiritual development comes through spiritual friendship. So it's good if you have people around you who are honest to yourself and who are telling you when they think you are there on the wrong path. And for example, for me, this is really, really difficult sometimes, because when you are this spiritual teacher and a lot of people love you a lot and a lot of people revere you a lot, that a lot of times it happens that people don't tell you what they actually think about you, where they don't tell you when they think there's something not quite right with you. And I'm very, very lucky that I have a lot of people around me who who are telling me, Christian, this is bullshit, this is not good, there you're doing really, really wrong and stuff like that. So I'm very happy that we have this honest kind of surrounding around us. But the thing is, what do you do then? A lot of times you just other people tell you, things which are difficult and all this kind of stuff. But what do you do then? So what I do in my meditation and also in my life, that I try to own, my behavior. a lot of times in the past, I was going always to the place when Anya was telling me, what should I do in our relationship and stuff like that. I went to the place in my mind where I said, oh, I do this because my mother treated me like this, and this is what I do because I'm just afraid, and this is I know I imprison you because I have this abandonment issues and stuff like that. But the most important thing is that you start to really own your behavior, that you just really say, yeah, I know there's my conditioning. I know that, why the things are happening inside of me. That's the first step. And it's a very important step to see it, to look at it and stuff like that. And, but actually to really start to say, okay, yeah, that's my conditioning, this is my, why I behave like this, and to be really compassionate with yourself. So if you see difficult behavior in yourself, when you're hurting other people, when you're, just making the life of your partner really, really difficult, be compassionate with yourself. Really see, where does it come from? Where was this kind of behavior shaped? Don't punish yourself for that. Don't say, oh, I'm such a bad person. When you actually realize what you're doing, I'm such a bad person. I told you I'm not lovable enough, or a lot of people go to this place. I did that a lot. And I said, oh, I'm not made for relationships. This is just, I'm too fucked up, or stuff like that. That's all your kind of like belief systems which are kicking in. But a grown-up way to deal with these kind of things is that you actually start to, instead of punishing yourself or just hating yourself for that behavior, that you start, and that's what meditation is. You see difficult behaviors coming up, and you just learn to sit with it. You learn to make a space around it. And it's really good if you also have people with you can talk to it, because if you speak it out loud, the things which are shitty inside of you, like for example, with my best friend, our friendship is so amazing because we say everything, like the most embarrassing things to each other, and we know that the other person is not judging us. So it's really, really incredible to find a secure space where you can be with that. But the most important thing is you need to create this secure space inside of your own heart and say, yeah, this is me. And then to deal with it in a grown-up way, that you start to take it in, that you start to say, yes, this is my conditioning, but this is what I'm doing. And most of the time, you have an advantage from what you're doing. So, for example, if you're afraid that the other person is leaving you, that was my past a lot. I started to blame Anya a lot, or I would get angry about her and stuff like that. And whenever she told me, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, but my childhood was like this and this and that. And that's good. And that makes a lot of the connection and helps the other person to become compassionate with yourself. So that's a very, very necessary step. But at one point, you also need to see, oh, wait a second, but I'm still doing that, or I'm just continue to repeat that kind of behavior, and continue to do that. So, and the question is, like, what do I do? When do I start to see, okay, I actually need to change that behavior? I cannot just excuse myself the whole time and say, my childhood is responsible for that. So, and when you start to own it, that is the moment where you can actually change it. Before you haven't owned it, before you haven't said this and that was happening, then you have no chance to actually change it. So, Good morning, all my love. I just woke up after 3 hours of night sleep to catch up with you.
Oh, wow. Good
Oh,
morning.
good morning. I'm very happy that you were here. Yeah, we sometimes, forget that you guys are in different time zones.
Zoned out.
Yeah. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So just when you just zoomed in, it's about our shady sides. And yeah, so what I said before, the idea is to just look at it, own it, no, sorry, look at it, become compassionate with yourself, own it, and then try to change the behavior as much as you can. Just see that it's coming. You wanted to say something?
No, just for when you just joined in that we changed the topic.
Oh yeah, good idea. We changed the topic because Nick, who asked the questions about sexuality, cannot join because he's so beautifully taking care of his mother, and he has to do that right now. So we decided to postpone that subject to the next live stream. I'm really looking forward for that because it's such an important subject, and it's good to talk about it. So, shady sides of...
or any question when you just joined in.
Yeah, if you just join in, if you have something, we are open to anything. Otherwise, I'm just talking about what comes to my mind. Because the thing I'm working with right now a lot, and I think which is such an incredible important subject, is abandonment. So, the reason why it is so important is that so many people, I don't want to say all people, but so many people I know, most of the people I know have abandonment issues. So abandonment issues come into place when, the classical thing is, your parents got divorced and one parent is just leaving your life, basically. Like you grow up then with your mother and your father is not present, maybe sees you once a month, and then later nothing anymore. And but there can be a lot of other reasons why you have abandonment issues. Yeah, and they are most of the time formed in an earlier part of your year, but also when it happens later, it still have a very, very big impact on you. So abandonment issues could be if your father is actually not physically available, or if one of your parents is emotionally not available. So that creates this feeling to be emotionally abandoned. And the problem with abandonment issues is that most people don't have it on their radar that they actually have abandonment issues.
So it could happen quite early in childhood. Mm-hmm. So also in times that we don't remember. And it's maybe also a feeling, translated maybe in a different word, could be of feeling not welcome. That could be also like related with abandonment. Or in other words, rejected, like we are not cared for. And if it really happens early in childhood, it can be connected with the feeling of dying, because we so much depend on the adults, the big ones who take care of us, our parents or other caretakers, that if we don't feel welcome, it's not only not feeling loved, it's life-threatening. So that's why sometimes connection with other people, relationship, friendship can feel so threatening. If so this topic of abandonment, when it's there, with this fear of maybe people might reject, we can create a lot of fear of intimacy, fear of connect with others can be in there. And it can feel like if someone has no time, like relationship for me, for example, is when I'm at home and Christian is like away and there is a certain amount of time, it's fine, but it comes to certain, and I don't know what length it is, I never measured the time, but there's a point when inside of me, there's a switch going on And all of a sudden, I'm like a little child, and I feel like waiting at home for my parents. And even my conscious mind, I'm aware that I'm like adult, I'm sitting like in this house here, and it's like a different situation. But still, it's so strong, this feeling, that all of a sudden there's this fear of he might not return, or like I have this fear of dying without a reason. Like it's not really coming from the logic mind, that when he comes back, I abandon him. It's my protective mode. It's like, I don't say hello, I'm just going into this. This is dangerous. This guy is dangerous. It's like he leaves me alone. This guy is dangerous. I better not connect with him. And one part of inside of me knows it's funny, but the other one is like out of control. It's still happening. And the best thing is if Christian is not coming into his abandonment issue when I start, because that can happen. If he stays strong and is adult and say, okay, now she is in this thing. And then he said, hello, I'm here, what's going on? And then, it can open the door, or like vice versa. Sometimes it's the other way around. And it's so funny because we meditate such a long time, but I feel like it helped me to acknowledge this topic, to be more with it, sometimes also to laugh about it. And so this is opening the way to heal it. But it's, I cannot push the button to heal it, even if I know on an absolute level, yes, like we all already enlightened, we all have happiness, but sometimes it doesn't help me. This could be spiritual bypassing, actually, to surround the issue that sometimes I'm in this conventional truth and this worldly life, that I need to acknowledge also the emotions and my past, but not in the way that I tell you the stories, oh, I'm poor, I got abandoned. No, that was happening. This is now why I'm like this. And then to see what Christian said, how do I want to be? Who do I want to be? And how can I go there? What is necessary for me? So for me, it's necessary to acknowledge, okay, this is a feeling. It feels awkward. I hate it. I don't want to feel like this. Then when Christian comes back home, it's like, do I want to reject him? Is this the relationship I want to live? Or is the relationship I want to live is to love and be open? And I can say, oh, Christian, it's nice that you're here. I have abandonment issues at the moment. Don't worry if I really behave like shit. It's not about you. It's my old stuff coming in. And sometimes expressing this already opens also his door. They say, oh, it's not him. Like, I'm not like angry with him. It's just my things coming up. That's why I cannot connect. And then he can say, okay, I can understand this. What's going on? How do you feel? And then there's space for me to express this now feelings, what is related to the past, but I can tell them now, and because he's connecting with me, I can heal it. Because in the past, I felt like when this feeling came, I could not connect, I would stay alone. But in this moment, the feeling of loneliness or this like fear of being rejected is there, but I can express it. There's someone listen to it, so it creates a healing space. So the feeling itself is not a problem. The problem comes with what do I do with it? If I hate myself for having these feelings and I reject myself, I increase the suffering. But if I can say, okay, this is what I have these feelings. Okay, this is part of me at the moment, the person I am. And what can I do with it? How can I create a loving space for these feelings to be and to heal? And this is where what I call, like, I go to my shadow side, to my dark side. This one part, this abandoned child inside of me is my dark side. It's something I like to reject. I like to not want to go because it's life-threatening to feel that one. It's still scary to feel it. But if I can invite it with an open heart and embrace it and trust in my capacity and in the power of my heart to hold me with everything, and with this open to the other person, it can be, I can heal it alone actually, but it's so good because it happened in connection with other persons. It's so cool to have someone, and it needed some work for us to realize this. We started to reject each other. We needed some time to realize this. It's not personal. It's not against the other person. It's something just like a habit, like an old pattern coming in, and that then one could stay there and say, okay, I'm here for you. So like, what's going on? And sometimes we lose it, to be honest, never give up. And then, but more and more we realize, we more and more understand our patterns and how his one is triggering mine is triggering him, and how we can try to stay and create this space for the other. And yeah, this is like what for me is coming up with this topic of abandonment or going to the shadow. Like this could be one shadow aspect. Another one could be like the angry self. It's also something that's often not welcomed and or we're afraid of. It feels like very destructive, and for me it's a shadow. For others, feel like we feel empowered. You know, sometimes we feel only our power when we are angry, but it's a shadow. And if we can embrace and integrate the shadow, what is expressed through the anger, there's a need behind. I feel maybe for us often is that we don't feel the other is listening really. We don't feel that he's really getting what I'm telling him, and the vice versa. I'm not really getting what he's telling me. And then this anger kicks in, we get louder, can you not hear, you know? And then the other one gets like, no, I don't want to hear, this feels really awkward. If you're like this to me, I don't listen at all. So Byron Katie helped us a lot actually to listen really, like it's just the same issue is coming, but just a little bit more intense because we want the other one to listen, to understand what's going on inside of us. So it can feel empowerment, but if the other one is not listening, it can feel like, I don't know in English, but ohnmächtig, overwhelmed, or like helpless, I would say. So for me, anger is a big issue to go. I had a lot of fear of anger, other people being angry, of having aggression inside of them, or also my own anger. I suppressed it a long time. It was not really welcomed. And from my side in my family, there were other parts where there was a lot of aggression, but from my side, so I'm still on the way to allow it to be there, and then still in the way of exploring it, understanding it, and understanding what it's behind it, what is the need that I wanted to express, finding the words sometimes, because sometimes I didn't learn to express my needs as a child, so I don't know how to express or not even know what it is, what I need. So, and this is in the relationship, I feel like it's helping because it person pushed my button and I was like, oh, I feel like disturbed, I get angry, but what is it actually, what's going on? What is my need? And to learn to express this in a different way. Like sometimes because of my abandonment issue, I feel angry with him that when I lose the contact, even be in the same room, but he's giving his focus somewhere, like a lot to somewhere else, and then I lose the contact. It's my inner child is losing the contact, and then I get angry. But with anger, I don't get like what I need. So because he gets the like, no, it's not nice with you. It's not the fun part. But then I said to him, you know, sometimes even if we with people, I disconnect and I don't know how to hold the connection. I don't know how to do this, and I get angry. It's not what I want to. I don't know what to do. Maybe it can be when you feel like this is coming, I start to reject whatever, like make a little contact, just a little touch or a little look or whatever, connect that I know you're still there. So I go and say, now I need this, but he knows now, okay, this is the story. It's not that I want to pull him. It's just a little moment that I need, like this one, to reset again. And I know in the long run, when the trust is there and my little child is more integrated, then it will not be necessary anymore. But this is like a friendship and relationship also is good for him to support each other in discovering the shadow, in being able to hold the shadow. Like good friendship and relationship is like for me part of it, of this, of why we meet each other and support each other and embracing the difficult parts of us.
And I would like to add something which was really, really important for my development, was that my father left when I was 3, so I had basically no conscious memory about him. And a lot of times when people ask me, don't you miss your father like crazy? I was like, no, I don't even know how it feels to have a father, so what should I miss? And even when I was, like then I was moving out when I was 14 with my mother, you know, a lot of people were like, aren't you super sad, you know, that you are now completely alone, it's way too early and stuff like that. I was like, no, I'm so happy that I'm out of this nightmare and stuff like that. So it took me quite a while to actually, because it was so painful and was so covered up, you know, in my feelings, that it took me a long time to actually realize that I have abandonment issues. Yeah, so that I was just like, no, I don't miss my parents. No, I was, you know, I'm just happier without them, period. And to really go to this place where I can see, okay, no, wait. I was actually missing my father like crazy. So it took me years to reconnect with that feeling, that I just really came to the point where I reconnected with the feeling how much I was actually missing my mother and just being so sad about it. You know, I carried this belief system around with me that, you know, once I moved out, the problem was removed, and you know, I'm fine, and I'm, you know, later on I had, you know, all these kind of ideas of, you know, I worked through my shit, and now this thing is over, and you know, I'm a free person. But I could see when it came to my relationship that nothing was really solved. Nothing, you know, I just you know, and also in, you know, looking at my relationships, it took me a long time, because I always thought, oh, she's the problem. You know, she's the one who has abandonment issues, and I'm the strong and independent and blah blah person. You know, and it's good to look behind your walls and see, no, you're not. You know, it's you can only start to heal when you look at, okay, this is going on, and your relationship is just a mirror, and then you can see that. You know, like when Anya is coming into her kind of things like Christian is never there for me, and you know, he's gone and stuff like this, and come in and she ignores me, then I have the same feeling like in my family, that I'm standing in front of closed doors, and then I get into my abandonment issues. So her button get pushed by, you know, me not being there, my button get pushed by her ignoring me, and then we are standing there, two little children, and trying to figure out what's going on, and screaming at each other, and just fighting with each other. And we are now, how many, 1 week ago, we're together since 17 years, guys. So we really know, you know, how this kind of thing is. And what we do is, you know, we play this pushing button ping pong. You know, she's in her story, I'm in my story, then she gets more into her story, I get more into my story. And what Anya said is super important. You know, like meditation brings you into this point where you can become conscious about when one person is in the story, that the other doesn't not necessarily also have to go into, you know, into my story. So I can stay and I can say, okay, I see you suffering. So when somebody screams at you, then you need to listen. You need to listen deeper, and you need to ask yourself, what do I not listen to? And that's one of the most crazy things. So we have a question. Yeah. No, that is a good question. So my question is there a point when the dynamic a relationship is seriously compromised two parties' mental health that we should just let go? It depends on your mental strength. It depends on where in the development and of your heart and mind, of your spiritual development you are. Yeah, make that a little bit more. Yep, that looks better. So, to, you know, like one story, which touched me a lot in the past, was there was a monk. It was Ajahn Brahm, who was running the Buddhist Society of Western Australia, and he's a very funny monk. He tells a lot of stories, very inspirational. And he said when he was an abbot, one time he was giving a speech, and in the last row there was one lady. She came in, and for the first time, he didn't know her. And after the speech, she left, and he didn't see her again. And then many, many years later, she came back to him and said, "Do you know what happened? I listened to your talk of letting go, of being absolutely free, no matter what your surrounding is like, and stuff like this. And I really took it in. And my husband, he's an alcoholic, he's physically violent, he was beating me up a lot of times. And from this one talk, she started to, and then they practiced meditation. She started to practice the meditation really diligently. She understood that, you can love another person, no matter how this person is behaving to you, and that you can become so free and that it is radiating. So she practiced it, and with her husband, she said every time he was violent, she was forgiving him. Every time he was drunk, she was giving love to him. And this woman must have had the most incredible superpowers in the world. But she said, after a couple of years, my husband realized the change in me. He realized that something incredibly deep has happened. And that she said, then suddenly at one point, he stopped drinking alcohol, he stopped the physical and mental violence, and now we have a beautiful relationship with each other. And I just wanted to thank you for that. And it's a true story. It's nothing what was made up. And so it is possible for our mind and heart to create so much healing space that we can just do that for ourselves and others. But that is the ideal. Yeah, in reality, you really have to see where on that scale am I. And sometimes it can be that, like two energies are just so difficult with each other that it is a better idea to let it go. To say, look, and I had this a couple of times in the project that people came to me and said, I had a long relationship and it became more toxic and more toxic and more toxic. And, like, then it was, we split up, and now I have a new relationship since a couple of years, and I'm just the most happy person in the world. So, there is no right or wrong. There's no like, do this or do that. But what I learned is that, like in 17 years of relationship, you can come to the point where you think, wow, is that still the right partner? And when you work through that, you see how deluded your mind can become. And that you just actually can find out it's all my belief systems, it's all my not lovable enough. I'm just, to this, to that, or my, and you also watch your partner through only these glasses of this person is like this and he has this problem and stuff like that. So my dear friend Charlotte, who is a group psychologist, she always says, if you want to make a relationship work, one of the two people has to stop. One person has to, what we just talked about, this ping pong game. She gets into her story, I get into my story, she reacts to it, I react to it. You can continue that until you have a war. Yeah, there's the same thing between countries. But when there's one person who is able to stop Stay strong, not go into the story. You can become absolutely clear. And what you need to realize is, yes, you can stop this relationship, but you need to heal. And this is why I talk about the abandonment issues. You need to heal this kind of energy inside of you, which thinks you're not lovable enough, you're not good enough, you're too stupid, too ugly, to this and that. Because if you don't, I promise you will search out for a person who has the same structure, will give you the same kind of pain your other partner has given you, and you will do the same, you will repeat the same kind of patterns 100%. Yeah. So if you decide to split up, because sometimes we are just so all our stories are so heavy. If you decide to split up, go into a process of healing. Really look what has happened. And a lot of times it's good to look back on your relationships, also previous relationships, and ask yourself what has happened there. And if it was the same shit like you have in your relationship right now, then it's something where you have to look inside. So always bring your view away from the other partner. Go away from what you are suffering from the behavior of the other partner, and ask yourself, what do I do and what can I change? There's a very, very incredible video I just watched from this American motivational kind of trainer. And he's super famous in the US. You might have seen him. And he's working with a guy who said, my wife, we have children and stuff like this, and we cannot get along. She always demanding time for me, and I'm playing in a band, and she doesn't want me to go to the band and stuff like that. And I don't know what to do. My love is vanishing, and and I have the feeling I cannot even do the little things I really like to do in this relationship. So the relationship is too toxic. It's just not giving me, and she's always giving me pain and stuff like this. So then he works with him and said, how does it feel when you play in a band? He said, oh, it feels so good. I feel like God when I play guitar and stuff like that. And he said, and how does your wife feel? How important is she for you? And then he said, probably a 2 or 3 on the scale from 0 to 10. And he said, okay, buddy, look at that. If you, if you give your wife the feeling that she's not really important for you, what will she do? Will she split up with you? He said, no, probably not. I'm the father of her kids, and are you the provider of the money? And he said, yes. And I said, okay, you're the father of her kids, and the base of her, financial situation. Why should you split up? But what would you do instead? He said, okay, probably I will try to manipulate this person so that I get what I want. He said, yes, exactly. That's what she's doing. And what can she do? Just ask you to not go to the band anymore. But you need to listen. What is your wife actually telling you? And it is, that you are not making her the priority anymore. And remember what happened when you both fell in love. The thing what happened was you both are making the other person the 100% priority. You were saying, this is just, the person I want to spend all my time with. I would blah, blah, blah. So, and he said, you need to go and pump up your life. You need to give this person not, just so much attention, so much appreciation, so much just love that she's just bursting, with love. And then he said, do you think when she has that feeling that you really care and, give it your relationship priority, what would she ask you in regards to your band? I said, probably she would just let me go. And he said, yeah, she would just go 2 times, 3 times a week. I don't care. So that is a good example. And this couple is still together. It really worked for them. So it's a good example to get away from what your partner is doing, what your partner is saying, and listen to what your partner wants. It's not necessarily time, but it is to be prioritized, to be somebody very, very important. And what do you do for this person who is important? And that was, it's always, making the switch to seeing, you create the life. And, for me, that was really, really incredible waking up to just go to this place where, Anya was saying, you don't have enough time for me. I was like, yeah, I have very little time, but all the time I have, then I give to you. And I just needed to go to this place and said, is that really true? Not the physical time, but the priority, the love, the attention. And, it can go so quick, that you are together for a certain period of time. And then you take the other person for granted. This person is just there, just in your life. You get used to it. You don't feel it anymore. What a wonder it is that you have the chance to spend your life with this person. Yeah. And then, all the annoyance comes in, and the anger and the blame and stuff like that. Just forget about that. Just see that it's just nothing. It's like see it from a bigger picture. What does it, how important is it when you just have an argument with each other? Nothing. How important is it that stuff is lying around on the floor, the partner is coming too late or something like this? It's just really something substantially wrong. And to see that you can develop this kind of inner attitude where you are absolutely 100% free, like to feel and to react, and like Anya said, if you stay strong when the other person is in the film, then it's going to be different.
Yeah. For the like feeling like the mental health it's touched, but I can feel, sometimes it can feel like this. So I don't know him, so I don't know like really like what it is, but I felt like some of the strong beliefs, the negative beliefs that I have about myself, I can spin, like, and in the past much more, spin so much into it that the other one can try like a lot of things and tell me a lot of nice things, but my belief system is so strong that it spirals down into kind of can feel really also mental like health, and I would feel like hopeless and helpless, and kind of everything can get dark, and so that I create. It feels like as if what I feel inside of me, the darkness, I don't give up to create it also outside. It feels like, and then, but then when I come out of it, I say like, oh, what happened? It's like I really have to focus on to get the awareness that is again the fact and story. Is this not really true? Is like the other person really kind of emotional violent, or verbally violent? Like I was in a relationship where there was really verbal violence, and there was, I'm quite sure in the future it would go into physical violence because like of his traumata. And when I offered, because I didn't know at that time a lot about how to deal with inner things, I knew that we would need help. And I said, okay, I'm there for you. Let's go to a therapist and let's get help. Let's go and get help. I don't have enough knowledge to do this now. But he said, no, he doesn't want to go there. And he was afraid to when he was 13, he got raped, and like his sister got raped from the stepfather, and like the mom sitting next to, like really like bad story. And there was so much anger in him, and I couldn't hold all this story. At that time, I had not the tools to do so. So I said, okay, I don't want to split, but I cannot hold it. So let's go together somewhere and get the help that is needed. But he rejected to go there. And because I was not able at that time to do it, I had to be honest with myself, because I got rashes on my skin. I got like fear at night. And so there came a point where I said, okay, I'm not able to hold this. So I split. So I left and I go. So that was where my ability that I had at that time, and I had to acknowledge that this is the ability I had at that time. And that it's also not only the two of you who needs to solve the thing. So like I offered him that let's get a coach, let's get someone to look at this and help us to go through this. And that's what we also do sometimes. We have our friends who are psychotherapists, and when we get stuck in something and our meditation, whatever is not helping, then we have a coaching with them, and we coach each other, they coach us and we coach them. And that's, without them, I think it would be more difficult that we would sit together here after 17 years. And thank you for the two. And so it's also, the community in the Sangha and getting help, because when we are caught in our story, and especially when you say you go already together into this kind of dark spiral, then it's sometimes difficult to step out when already this thing is going and moving, to step out and see clearly. And sometimes if someone from outside can look at the two, and that what we do, then we go into our things, and they start smiling sometimes already. And they say like, okay, how do you feel? Like, what did you hear from the other person? And they bring more clarity to us. So it can be very helpful to get a coach also, if you feel like it's so strong and you don't know, no one of you know how to come out of it, but both of you think, actually, the other one is a cool person, then it's good to get help. And then maybe there's a way together. So we don't have to do everything alone also, in this world. It's reach out.
Yeah. Your second question, I just read again. What's the right thing we should let go of? What does that look like? One thing I realized in our long relationship is what I need to let go of is the picture of how I want Anya to be. And that's a very, very tricky one. Because of course we need to still be connected with our needs. It is very important that we express our needs. That we say, hey, look, this is just really what I need in my relationship. But it took me a long, long time to realize that I need to let go of how I wanted Anya to be, how I wanted Anya to be in the relationship, and how I would like our life to be. Because, what we try to is unconditional love, and unconditional love means really without a condition. It's a lot of times what we do is I love you if. And for example, in our relationship, I was, doing this project. It came from my vision, and I was just like, yeah, Anya and Du, we're rocking it. We together will change the world, we'll save people and stuff like that. And then Anya was just like, yeah, but I go to India and, I need to do a teacher training. And I was like, no, you leave me alone, abandonment issue, and, stuff like a feeling of I'm not good enough and I'm overwhelmed and when I'm alone and I need you and stuff like this. So it continued to be like that. And I was just constantly unhappy. I always wanted to have Anya next to me, and she's such an amazing teacher. And when we're together teaching, it's so much better than if I, little poor German, is doing it alone and stuff like that. And it took me a long time to, from my heart, needing to see it is her life, it is her thing that she wants to, or she needs in her life, certain things which are not necessarily the things I need. So, and I was just, and then my mind went to the play, oh, then she's the wrong person for me. And, then I need to find somebody else who's doing their, stuff with me. It's all in your head. It's all just you wanting the other partner to be in a certain way, to react in a certain way, and stuff like that. And, we could then also went to this place inside of our heart, and that she was just like demanding time from me. And I was just like, you should not demand time from me. I'm saving the world, leave me alone. I have a job to do. And so again, to go always to that place where when your mind says she should not do it, do barricade. She should do it because that's her job, that's her conditioning, and it's my thing to react to it in a certain way that I can say no. Like I need to do what I'm doing. I need to go and talk to people and stuff like that. So, and then it was Anya's job to let go and said, okay, so maybe it's his job to do that. And you could just you could play this game forever and say, oh, this is not the right partner, I need somebody who's more with me. No, it's exactly where your learning ground is. This is where you learn unconditional love, where you learn to let go of what you think the other person should do or not do, and just work something out where you say, okay, what are your needs, what are my needs, and how do we come together? And then you will see that it's working out. And if it's not working out, if you express your needs, the other person is expressing the need, and you still feel like, okay, there's not enough common ground, then yeah, it's a good idea to say maybe then we're not the right people for each other. But be careful that your mind is tricking you most of the time with these kind of things. Yeah. So enjoy the rides, enjoy, which of Brian Kitty stuff could we use to practice a loving reality? Ooh, yeah. So what we used a lot is there is a set of a book and CDs of her, which is called Loving What Is. And it's such an incredible, powerful tool to work with, because she said basically, I'm a lover of reality. I'm not insane anymore. I don't want, Anya in any different way. I'm just absolutely in peace because I know everything when she challenges me. It's my place to learn to say no. This is what I need to do. I think so. This one is loving what is my tool, and that's also the CDs I play in the project a lot, and so much stuff on that and her explanations. This cat is really getting comfortable on me. This is what helps a lot. Just do that work, and really write it down. Really, and that's the spiritual development, that you just really see that everything. What she always says: no mistake, no mistake, no mistake, no mistake, no mistake. Nobody is a mistake. Nobody is just doing something out of nowhere. Everything in your life is there for a reason, and the reason, and you need to find out. So you need to find out what's my illusion I'm in, or where do I not take care of myself enough. Sometimes taking care means to end the relationship, which is just not good for you. It's just not the right thing to do. It's not your path. And this is nobody can do that for you. Like what Anya said, sometimes it can help if you come and get help from people who are really good in that, and they can from the outset say, okay, guys, honestly, it just doesn't work the way you want. Maybe your wishes are too far away from each other, and then you make a nice split up. You just do it in a conscious way, and then you continue to learn about what was going on. Okay, we are already 10 minutes over time. I hope you get something out of it. We wish you a super nice Christmas. We know being together with a family can sometimes, be turmoil and, but try to bring more light into every situation you're in. Try to bring more love into your family. Try to do stuff different. Maybe instead of getting offended by things what your family is saying, just be in peace and just, practice equanimity and, just don't stop loving them. Just stay grounded in yourself. Get away from all this, present buying and stuff like that. And thank you. We'll celebrate Christmas. So there's still 11 volunteers with us. Tomorrow we have a nice party together. We will.
I love Christmas.
Yeah,
I'm a Christmas lover. I always loved it.
Mm-hmm. We even have a Christmas tree here at Falls One, and glitter and lights and stuff like this. But one more time, thank you guys all for your support. Thank you all for this Patreon thing. You cannot imagine how much that saves our ass right now. And all the input we get from you guys, the ideas we get from you guys is just so amazing. We're so grateful for our mindfulness family, and it's so nice to meet you on a monthly basis here. Yeah, we would love to see you also. Maybe there's a technical something which makes that possible in the future. We'll see. But like I said in the beginning of the video, wait until the end of January, because then we'll do the whole Patreon, and we're just going to produce really exciting stuff, which we have already mapped out. And we just need a little bit of time to produce all that kind of stuff, but we'll go together deep, I promise. Okay. Merry Christmas.
Nick, give a hug to your mom.
Yeah, please. Definitely. And and also go nicely into New Year. We'll post something, a little New Year's Eve ritual, and so do that. It's also very, very, very nice and deep. Some of you have done it in the Mindfulness Project, maybe. Have a good time. And I love you all like crazy. It's really nice to know that you are my family. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We end. Goodbye. Are you sure? No.